Kimberly F. Wilson. This is Unworldly Perspectives. I am your host. Tonight's topic is mental illness and the journey of becoming a healthier you. Welcome my TV audience as well as my Facebook audience. Come on in. Good evening from Dallas, Miss Pamela. How you doing tonight? Again, this topic is such of importance because a lot of people is walking around with mental illness issues, and society has taught us to mask it. Again, welcome my Facebook audience and my TV audience. I am Dr. Kimberly F. Wilson. I am specialized in psychology, acute mental health. I am a certified life coach as well. And I am just going to give you some tools if you are having a rough time or you know someone that is having a rough time to help them to get through. Also, if you know someone that is having issues that may be suicidal, we have a hotline number that you can call or text at 988. Again, that number is 988, and your tip can remain anonymous. All right, we're going to dive right in. I'm going to give you the clinical definition of what mental illness is. Mental illness is also called a mental health disorder. It refers to a wide range of mental health conditions, disorders that affect your mood, thinking, and behavior. Examples of mental illness is depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, eating disorder, addictive behavior, as well as PTSD. A lot of people are walking around with PTSD. I know the stigma is it is only affected by people in the military. Also, a lot of people may think that PTSD is just for adults, but no, it is not. Children also can be affected by PTSD. It can be caused by one life trauma event, and that's why it's very important. Good evening, Miss Lynn. Welcome to the broadcast. It is very important that we don't be judgmental because we are all one life experience away from having a mental illness episode. It was just one life trauma away from a mental illness episode. So coming on here, our guest, Miss Christy. Hello, Miss Shamika. Welcome. Welcome. Y'all hit that share button. Let me know you shared. Our guest, Miss Christy, we had to reschedule. It was a time difference. So she will be on again next week to bless you guys with some lifeline experiences as well. So, can anyone tell me what has been their experience with mental illness? You guys feel free to join in via chat. Also, if you want to be brought on video as well, that is perfectly fine. But can anyone tell me what has been their experience with mental health? Thank you so much, Miss Lynn, for your share. Do anybody want to chime in on what they think, what has been their experience with mental illness? All right, I'll give you guys a couple of opportunity to chime in, but I'm just gonna say mental illness can affect your everyday life. It also can affect your family. It can affect the way that you think, the way that you process things. It also can affect your behavior. You can go from being happy one minute to being very erratic the next. And some symptoms can be managed with a combination of medication, therapy, and also the Lifeline coach as well. Miss Christie is a Lifeline coach. They call that treatment psychotherapy. That's the clinical aspect of it. Most people, because society has deemed it to be not acceptable to get help if you're suffering from a mental condition. But I just want to encourage you guys, if you are suffering from depression, anxiety, whatever it may be, do not be ashamed to reach out and get help. It becomes a problem when we decide not to get help and it starts to affect us, people that love us. It start affecting your whole way you decide not to get help. One of the main things now that is really happening that has raised mental health issues very high is grief. We have people dying daily, every second, every minute. And from my experience as a psychologist and as also life experience, if you don't deal with grief, grief will deal with you. So you want to make sure if you're struggling with emotions, if you're struggling with coping with the death of a loved one or child or anyone, you want to go seek grief counseling. There are grief counselors available in every area. If you do not know someone, please feel free to reach out and I will get you the information that you're needing if you're in need of grief counseling. Another one is PTSD. I touched on PTSD briefly, but PTSD can affect any one of us. PTSD can cause you, as I stated before, 1 minute you are happy, the next minute you're very erratic. Sudden changes causes an imbalance. Sudden noises, too loud noise. If you're thrown into a crowd, it can cause you imbalances as well. And as I stated before, we have to watch our babies as well because it does not just affect adults. So if you notice that your child is exhibiting that type of behavior, please feel free to reach out and get them the assistance that they are needing. Is there any topic for as mental illness that you guys out there, the audience? Anxiety, yes, ma'am, Miss Pam. Anxiety is also one. Right now, we are in what they call a recession. Gas prices are very high. You can't go get eggs without them being $5 or some places higher. I was hearing some place you may can be arrested if you have too many eggs. It may have been a joke, I don't know, but it's very. You look around, it's the first of the month for us adults to have to pay bills again. That raises anxiety, especially in the workforce if they're not paying enough for you to cover your bills, take care of your children, cover your basic needs. Now, to get state assistance, they almost want you to not be working at all. So you're not even able to get the assistance from food stamps. So that has raised the anxiety level of a lot of adults as well. With gas prices being so high, it almost make you want to get a bicycle because you cannot afford to even fill your tank up. Rent costs has went up. The cost of living in general in all areas have went up. And some of the jobs is just not paying enough. Even if you have a degree, it's still not paying enough for you to meet your basic needs as well as your family needs. So that alone has raised anxiety, as Miss Pam said, and that is alone is causing a lot of mental health issues. And if it's left untreated, it will become a bigger issue. On Unworldly Perspectives, we like to keep it real. And so also relationships, dead end relationships is causing a lot of mental illness because if you stay in a situation, not just a romantic situation, if you stay in a situation too long, that can be a family member, friends, whomever, that is bringing more darkness to your life than light, it will cause you some instability. It'll cause you to go off your life path and go into the darkness if you're not careful. So we have to make sure we surround ourselves around people that are going to bring to our life, help us in the need if we're in need. Well, we may have a mental health crisis and get us to where we need to be. You don't want people around you that's going to enable you. You don't want yes people around. A lot of times we have yes people where they just tell us what we want to hear. And right now, in the way that the world is going right now, we need people that's going to tell us what we need to hear instead of what we want to hear. So, mental illness, some of the symptoms, on a clinical standpoint, you can feel sad or down, you can feel confused, uh, excessive fears and worries, extreme mood changes. You can also the inability to cope with daily problems, trouble understanding relating to situations, problems with alcohol or drug use. I am going to say to you guys out there, my TV audience, my Facebook audience, if you are going through something, drugs and alcohol can make it worse. Now, it's different if you are using drugs such as marijuana if you have a chronic condition. I'm speaking on drug abuse, and we all know what drug abuse means. A lot of times we take something to numb the pain, and then it end up coming back worse, because what we then do is not only do we have a mental condition where it may be depression, grief, anxiety, PTSD, we've now added on alcoholism, which is also a disease. It's also a disease. Drug abuse is also a disease, and it requires treatment. So you're piling one thing on top of another. You also, when you're stressed out or going through something, major changes in your eating habits. How many of you notice when you're going through something, people lose weight quite rapidly because they don't have the desire to eat or forget to eat? It also can affect your sex drive. You may, if you're married or you have a significant other, you may not even have the need or feel the need to be intimate. You get excessively angry, hostile, violent, take everything the wrong way. How many of you have talked to someone that one minute they may be on one subject and then the next minute they've jumped to something else? Very hostile, um, very argumentative. All of those are clinical signs of mental illness. Also, suicidal thinking. Suicidal thinking is very serious. Again, the hotline is 988. If you know someone that is struggling, that is thinking about taking their own life, do not take that for granted. Do not take that as they are playing. If someone vocalize to you or show signs that they are suicidal, please get them the help that they need. No threat can be taken lightly. So, all of those are symptoms and signs. They can vary depending on the person. Welcome, middle school, as well as Tiara, to my Facebook Live broadcast. We are covering the subject of mental illness, and the journey of becoming a healthier you. I went over what is mental illness as well as the symptoms of mental illness and different life circumstances that can cause you a mental health episode. Also, you want to make sure that if you are assigned to get help, well, you may be seeing a counselor, a psychologist, whatever it may be. You want to make sure you continue that treatment because you're in that treatment for a reason. You're in that treatment for a reason. Sometimes we go through and we may start feeling better, but finish your treatment plan out, whatever your doctor has lined that out. Again, this is just a brief disclaimer. This show is not to treat or diagnose anyone. It is simply to give you the knowledge first and the tools to become a better you. So I just want to make sure I get that out the way. Again, for my TV audience, the number to call if you're feeling suicidal is going across the screen. It is 988. I can't reiterate that enough. That is important. That number, save it in your phone, have it on speed dial. They have operators 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to assist you if you need to report or if you are suffering yourself. Also, we're going to cover the tools necessary to be on the journey of becoming a better you. First, us, not everybody around us. Us as individuals, we first have to admit there is a problem. A lot of times that is hard for us to do. Sometimes we go around in a fog where everyone else sees there's issues, but we may not see that there is one. We have to first, in order to seek help for ourselves, admit that there is an issue. Secondly, once getting the help that you need, continue your therapy. That's very important. Once you gain help, both my TV audience and my Facebook audience, please make sure you continue your treatment. That's very important. Also, make sure whatever medication or combinations of medication that is used to treat your condition, you are taking it as directed. Now, make sure you research the medication that you're on, become familiar with whatever medication that you may be on. Know what you're putting in your body. That way you'll know what will counteract with that drug, what will cause the side effects, or whatever it may be. Educate yourself. Or if you have someone that you're a caregiver to that is unable to determine what goes in and out of he or she body, you as the caregiver, make sure you know what that person is taking. If you have someone that is responsible, reliable, that's in your corner, make sure if you are feeling anxiety, overwhelmed, or whatever that may be, you reach out. Get as many positive people in your corner as you can. You want to eliminate negativity. You want to eliminate that. That's very vitally important for you to eliminate negativity. With mental health, untreated mental health issues can also start causing you health issues. Because if your mind is unstable, it causes your health to become unstable. Symptoms of that is back pain, headaches, tension, high blood pressure. That can also lead to a stroke, heart attack, all of that. So, in efforts to take care of our mental health, we must also take care of our physical health, but our mental health is just as important. A lot of times we go and take care of our physical health and we forget about our mental. Mental is just as important because without the right frame of mind, you're not going to be able to do your life functions the way that they need to be handled. Do anybody have any questions before I move forward on what mental illness is, what experiences you may have had with mental illness, um, etc. Anybody have any questions as well on grief? Hello? Anybody have any questions on grief? Um, what steps to take to get help on grief? Uh, if you allow grief to take its turn where it becomes excessive, it then becomes a mental illness. I'm going to say that again. For any one of you out there, we all have lost someone. Sure as you living, you will die. And if you have experienced loss, if you're not careful to seek help, it can and will become a mental illness. So make sure you guys, anything that causes you instability can become a mental illness. Just to make sure I clear that up for anyone that was wondering. Um, it can become a mental illness. So do anyone have any questions that they want to ask about mental health, mental illness, or all of the topics that I have covered out in TV land or my Facebook audience before I move on to the next subject? All right. Moving forward, when you are speaking to someone that may have a mental illness, it is very important that you remain unjudgmental. We live in a society now where people are very judgmental. And it's not acceptable because, again, we're one life episode away from having a mental health crisis ourselves. If you are speaking to someone that has a mental illness, it's very important to be open, be honest about your concerns, but also do it with love. Because you have to remember you're dealing with someone that is very fragile at their state. They're very fragile, and they're going to need your love, care, and attention, and to not be judgmental at that time. A lot of times we have the pattern of saying, well, I wouldn't do it like this, or you shouldn't be feeling like this. You can't tell someone how to feel. Only they know how they're feeling. So be real careful about telling people how they should feel. If you encounter someone that is having a mental health crisis, or if you know someone that is having a mental health crisis, you want to encourage them to talk about it, and then you want to encourage them, especially if you're not licensed and trained to handle that. Make sure you point them to the direction of seeking them some help. A lot of times we have a lot of doctors and nurses running around here playing doctor. And so you definitely most certainly don't want to give someone the wrong information and then they go harm themselves. That's why you got to be careful about being judgmental. Being too harsh can cause someone to harm themselves. Also, another mental illness that's not really talked about is eating disorders. That is also a mental condition where the person perceives themselves to be overweight to the point where after they eat they vomit. That causes damage to the lining of their esophagus and other health issues. That is also a mental health crisis. That particular condition is brushed under the rug a lot. Society does not talk about that a lot, but it happens in every community. Every community it happens. And educate yourself on that particular subject because it is happening and it's happening among our teen girls as well. Because the image on the video is you have to be a certain weight, you have to be a certain height. So our young ladies are feeling pressured that they have to look a certain way to fit in. So what they do then is begin to self destruct. And that's where the health conditions come in at, because they are not eating properly and they're self-identifying with what society has to say. That's where it comes in of all of these implants and all of this, because society has said you have to have certain body parts, you have to look a certain way, and that's why that is on the rise as well. So, those are some of the steps for as mental illness. My audience that's just joining me, Christy, the Lifeline coach, she will be on next week to do her interview again. We had some issues, so she will be doing. Hey, Raven, how you doing? She will be doing some issues. I mean, she will be doing her interview next week. Also, if you are assigned a lifeline person, like Christy, the guest, is, she is going to give you the tools necessary to get through whatever you may be going through. A lifeline coach is sort of like an AA person, where you're assigned a sponsor. Her job is to get you the resources that you need to get through. And her interview will definitely go into more detail and explaining that topic as well. So you guys make sure you tune in next week on that. Another risk factor that is involved is medically, you can pass that on. If you have a mental illness, you can pass that on to your child. So if it is hereditary, if it's a chemical imbalance in the brain, it can be passed on to your offsprings. So you guys be mindful of that when you're having children. It can be passed on to your child. So make sure you get yourself some help. Make sure you're being the example that you want to be. Also, child abuse. A person can be hiding behind a mask. They can be molested, raped, uh, just violated in any way. And it then onsets a mental health crisis. And if left untreated, this person grows up as an adult and can become an abuser themselves. So, abuse is another topic that families shy away from, because the predator may be someone in the family, may be someone that they're protecting in the family. We find that in the Black community a lot, um, where they're hiding it in every community, rather. We find that the abuser are being protected by the family. So we definitely want to make sure that we get help for our childhood trauma as well as our adult trauma. That's very important. We can have adult and childhood trauma, and if left untreated, both of them collide. Just think about going head on down the road with another car. Y'all both in the wrong lane. If neither one of you guys turn off, you're going to hit each other head on. That is exactly what childhood trauma and adult trauma will do for you. If you are going through life with untreated trauma, it's like going head on with more trauma. And if left untreated, it's going to be a domino effect. So make sure you guys are aware of all aspects of mental illness, mental health, how to overcome. Again, if you have any questions, concerns, hello, Kenzie and Miss Mary. If you have any concerns or questions about mental health, what you need to do, what steps you need to take, or if you know someone that is struggling in that area, please feel free to reach out to me and I will give you the tools necessary to get through your life's journey. Also, we're going to talk about briefly generational trauma passed on to our children. Miss Pam said bullying. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for bringing bullying up. Bullying is one of the leading cause of suicide among adolescents. The child begin to get sad, depressed, they get scared, they don't want to tell their parents. They're being bullied. They're being hurt, traumatized for whatever reason it may be because they're different. Let's talk about this. May rough some feathers up a little bit. Bullying is taught behavior. A child does not come out aggressive. They don't come out knowing how to pick and be a bully. A child is normal instincts is to be sweet and playful unless they have some type of childhood trauma that has caused them an imbalance to be aggressive and be a bully. But children don't come out being a bully as they grow up. So that's taught behavior. They saw someone do that type of foolishness, or they're hanging with someone that has been around that type of foolishness, and it is deemed to be okay. You teach your children the way you want them to be, the right way. Also, our parents wasn't always right. Just because you may have been taught something doesn't make it right. You want to do what's right for your child. You want to make sure that they're doing what's right when they go out here in society so they can be a productive adult. But bullying is a major issue in these schools all across America. I'm located in Bossier City, Louisiana. Bullying is a major issue here. Bullying is a major issue in every state. Bullying is a major issue everywhere. So we want to make sure that we are getting educating our child first. I'm going to say that. Education is important. When they become of school age, sitting down and talking to your child, making sure that they understand what is bullying, when to go and seek help and tell, and why bullying is not okay, and what to do in the event bullying takes place. You have to have a plan. Also, you can't make them scared to talk. You want to make sure you open the floor to talk. Hello, Joshua. You want to make sure you open the floor to allow them to talk and tell you what's going on. Sometimes, as parents, we may get too busy or don't want to hear it, but take time to listen to your child. They'll tell you a lot just by you listening. Take time to listen, and you will learn a lot. Nowadays, they have access to the internet, TikTok, and all of the rest of the stuff that's on there. That's an influence on them. When I was coming up, we didn't have TikTok, or the older generation, we didn't have TikTok or the internet. So nowadays, they may have not learned it at home. They may have learned it off the internet that it's okay to bully. So I most definitely want to clear that up. Some of the behavior ain't learned at home. You can be the best parent that you are to your children, and society is teaching them. So you have to be real careful of what they're watching on television. Limit their TV time, limit their time, introduce them to more productive things instead of that. So we have to be real careful of what we're introducing our children to. As I stated before, if they are around the age group of in kindergarten to, I'm going to say, fifth grade, you definitely want to monitor what they're watching. You want to monitor their TV time. You want to monitor what they're doing. And then as they get older, you definitely want to monitor what they are exposed to. You want to, if they have a tablet or a phone, I suggest you set it on a timer where it shuts off at a certain time. Parental blocks. Nowadays, people are afraid to be parents. They so busy want to be friends with their children instead of being parents. Get all up in their business. Right now, we in dangerous times. Get all in their business. What they doing, how they doing it, who they doing it with, where they going. That may just save your child's life. No, you can't go with such and such without you talking to the parent first. See, that has left some of the households, and that's why it is a lot of stuff going on. Get all in your child's business is my recommendation to you. Get all in your child's business, whereabouts, all of that. It is very important because no streets are safe. Crime is up everywhere, especially here in Louisiana. Shreveport, crime is out of hand. And as I stated in a lot of other states, you hardly even want to go to the store in Shreveport, especially be caught at night because of the crime rate. But it starts with taking ownership and responsibility to get our youth back. So, as Miss Pam stated, bullying is definitely a very serious subject that definitely the schools need to have a, just like they teaching them the pledge of allegiance, they need to be teaching them the pledge of treating their fellow students the right way without bullying, without talking down because one may be less fortunate to have on Jordans or Nikes or whatever. Also, when we're talking about our youth, it's not enough programs to teach them how to be successful adults. Where is the budgeting on how to budget their money courses? That needs to be implemented in these high schools. A lot of these children are getting out of high school, don't even know how to pay a bill, don't know how to take care of themselves. So, budgeting, money management needs to be part of the curriculum because that is real life issues that they're going to have to deal with. Miss Lynn says more prayer in the school. Well, Miss Lynn, that is a good perspective to have, but they've took the ability to discipline the children out of school, and prayer left shortly after. Prayer and discipline left. For the older generation, if you did something wrong, you go into the principal office and you can get a paddle. That board alone made you get your mind right immediately because that board hurt. Now you better not hit them cheering with no paddle. You going to jail. Not pass go. Don't collect $200. You going straight to jail. You hit them cheering now with a paddle. So they took religion, prayer, and the ability to discipline them out of the school system. And the rise of the foolery came. Now we can agree to disagree on discipline for spanking your child. That's really up to you and what you do in your household. Some people uh like to discipline in the form of whooping, some people don't. Whatever works for you works. Just make sure that you can whoop a child all day, but what are they really learning? What have you really taught them? Teach them the right and the wrong way and why you've resorted into whooping them. Don't just whoop them for everything they do. That's a teaching moment. Or don't just take their belongings. Teach them why they no longer will be able to watch TV for a while or play their video game, whatever it is that they do. Good evening, Miss Siobhan. Welcome. This is Unworldly Perspectives. I am your host, Dr. Kimberly F. Wilson, and I'm just going over mental illness and the journey of becoming a healthier you. I went over some key things that you can do on your journey to becoming a healthier you, as well as how to seek help. My TV audience, we have the number going across the screen, which is 988. If someone out there is in need of help, 988, open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Again, this show is not to treat or diagnose anyone. It is simply to give you the tools necessary to make it. And I also talk about topics that people are afraid to discuss. Definitely, the school system needs a remodel. As you stated, Miss Lynn, yes, the prayers are out. It's out as well as discipline and a lot of other stuff. But we got to give our school system, our teachers, our principal a round of applause because they are doing their job very underpaid. To all my teachers and staff out there, much love to you guys. They are underpaid in every state. They go, they are an extension of us because they have them 8 hours a day. And it is some really good teachers out there. And they are underpaid. A lot of them are frustrated because they are underpaid. So definitely it needs to be some revision in pay as well as programs that's going to teach our kids how to be better citizens. Yeah, English, math, science, social studies, all that is important. But how is that going to teach little Johnny how to be a productive young man? How is that going to teach him how to apply for a job, pay his rent, balance his bills, open up a bank account, all of the life stuff that they're needing while they're gone for 8 hours a day should be implemented in the school system. What do some of you guys out there think about that? Do you think financial literacy should be taught in the school system? Ms. Lynn, Ms. Siobhan, do you guys think financial literacy should be taught in the school system? Mhm, mhm, mhm. Because think about it like this. If they introduce that to the school system, the parent may have grown up in a generation where they had to work. Work was more important than school. So they may not have the ability to teach that child what they're needing to be a successful adult. That will help that parent out that is weak in that area. And also the child can come and help that parent out and say, well, mom, dad, this is what I learned. Look, I know how to budget my checkbook. I know how to pay my bill. This is how you do it. Then they're teaching their offspring on how to do that, how to navigate. They're not teaching anything about financial literacy at all. The kids are coming out not knowing how to fill out a college application. It's not enough courses on how to fill out financial aid, how not to spend all your Pell Grant money. all done that. So we have to make sure that we're teaching them that. And if you're unable to, that's where the school system come in at, especially if they are going to be there for 8 hours a day. These kids go to school thinking that Pell Grant money is to buy them a car, to get them where they need to be. Yes, that's going to help you get a car, but just remember this. It's also setting you up for debt that's going to be on your credit report for the rest of your life. That's money you're going to have to pay back. So we need to teach our children that to manage their money better when they get that financial aid, that financial support, not to go and blow it. We need to teach them that blowing the money is not good. And if we had some stuff in place, that will help them out. That will be very helpful if we had that in place. So those are some of the things that as a society we can become better at educating first. We're not teaching them about being business owners. Society is programmed our children that working or whatever is the best way to do. We have no courses in entrepreneurship, anything. But we expect them to go out and be productive citizens. How are they going to be productive if we're not teaching them how to be productive? We as America have failed our youth. The children are our future. The song got it right. But how are they going to be a future if we're not preparing them to be the future? How? How is it possible? It's impossible for them to be a better version of themselves if we're not giving them the tools necessary. Also, if we are raising our children in a broken home, a lot of confusion, chaos, if we are a father or a mother and we are exposing them to foolishness, going out, if you a mother or a father, you're showing them the promiscuous lifestyle. We then cannot get upset with them if they grow up to become just what they seem. They become a product of their environment. We can't get upset with them if they become a product of their environment. We can't get upset. So we have to be mindful of what we do because they're always watching. The good or the bad, they are always watching. So the key is to make sure that their mental stability is taken care of. And that's for you as an adult or your children. Then if the family is broken, y'all seek help as a family. It's going to do you no good if the family structure is broken for you guys to seek help just individually. You guys are going to need family counseling as well as individual counseling. So, to my TV audience as well as Facebook audience, if you are in a family structure where that family structure is broken, where there's a lot of arguing, where there's a lot of chaos, and different life circumstances has happened to cause you guys to get there, you guys must seek help as a family as well as individual counseling in order to become a healthier family. You seeking help is very important, as well as the whole family sitting down with someone that is unbiased to talk out you guys' issues in a family setting. It is a synonym out there that a family that prays together stays together. Now, it is your opinion on whether you believe that or not, but in most households, that reigns true. And on a clinical standpoint, a family that seeks counseling together and utilize the tools necessary to become a better version of you stays together in a much pleasant situation. Much pleasant. I don't know no one that want to be around someone that is argumentative, always got an issue. How many of you been around someone that is something always wrong? Something can't always be wrong. You mean to tell me you always got something to complain about? If you woke up in the morning, that's something to celebrate. It may be hard, but it will get better. If you was allowed the ability to wake up, things will get better. And if you feel like things are too hard, well, you don't see no upside, that is when you seek you some help. It's never too late to seek help, whether it's from childhood trauma or whether it's from adult trauma. It's never too late to seek counseling. What is wrong is when you don't seek help and you're destroying the people around you. You're self-destructing and you're taking the people down around you that really love you and really is there for you. You're mentally draining them. That happens in a lot of households as well. You mentally drain the person around, the people around you. So as I stated today, mental illness, and your journey on becoming a better you is important. It is an important aspect of life. We have so many people walking around with masks on. What does that mean? You're walking around like you're okay, but you're really not. You have a mask on. You're pretending to be happy, or you're pretending to be something that you're really not. And up under that mask is a whole lot of pain, frustration, anger, guilt, resentment. You can only wear a mask for so long till eventually the real presence of you will be revealed. It's going to come out one way or the other. It's going to show in your work ethic. It's going to show with your children. It's going to show in your everyday life. Because men wear their stress outwardly first and then in. Then a woman wears her stress in and then out. And it begins to affect her appearance. It begins to affect how she views herself and all of that. So we have to be mindful of covering up the pain with a mask. That only worked for so long. And a lot of us have to do that just to cope. If you a mother, full-time mother, or full-time father, parent in general, we have to put on masks just to hide our pain from our children. So you may be having a really rough day, or you may not know how you're going to pay the light bill. Light bills are very high now, y'all. Causes great anxiety when you open up that light bill and the audacity to be $500. That can cause some great anxiety. And because there is no monopoly for the light bill, in most areas, you ain't got no choice but to pay that $500. If you hadn't made nothing but $300 that week, that's going to cause you some anxiety, some emotional distress. especially if you don't have no one you can go and borrow money from. Or you may be short on getting you and your family something to eat, and you may have not made nothing but a little money. Because again, remember, guys, I covered this in the beginning of the show. They don't want to give you food stamps. Food stamps is not optional unless you're making maybe 15. I don't know what the amount is, but if you're working, they don't want to give you the food stamps is off limits. But my perspective, right now, the way food costs are, and eggs is $6 or $7, everybody should have the blue card. Everyone should have the blue card to get them their basic needs. Everyone should have one. Because $100 don't stand a chance in the grocery store, right? You go in there with $100, that's equivalent to $10 now. That's $10. That's equivalent to $10. My time is almost up with my TV audience. It's been real. Thank you guys for joining me with Unworldly Perspectives. I will be back on Tuesday with another hot topic. I will have a guest. Miss Christy will be on. I also will have a counselor on. We will cover all broad range of topics. The next topic I will be covering is child support. Do you think the child support law should be revised? That is the next topic. So if you have a lot to say about child support, please make sure you join us. So, as I stated, y'all, what do y'all think? My Facebook audience out there, what do y'all think? Do y'all think everyone should have the blue card, they call it?